It is absolutely amazing how far you can get combining great ideas and the best AI tools. That's why I built best and fastest workflow using AI tools that will help you to build game-ready modular characters with skins in just one day. We're gonna develop all parts, all skins, all textures, drop it to Unreal Engine, and even rough out the location. This time I'm gonna show whole process with all the prompts, and I'm gonna share a link so you can inspect it by yourself and repeat. I'm gonna honestly show where AI works and where you need to do a manual touch-up. Complete process, all secrets. Hit that like button. I really need your support, guys, and let's get started. Okay, so here's the character that we're gonna create, and I've been actually exploring different ideas for a while. Very quick how I do brainstorming of the concept. That's a little bit different from creating the character. I actually do have my agent built with Claude and stuff, and I'm a really big fan of Hollow Knight universe. So here's how I do that. I have a Claude agent, and I basically go iteration, choose what works, and you can see I made a lot of iterations with different styles. I was experimenting, like trying some stuff, and eventually I started to get something really cool. I definitely did not want it to copy it right away. I wanted some mix and basically made a knight from that universe, but also sort of like an angel. And here is my final version. I'm ultra happy about it. And the idea is that I'm also gonna create skins, the gold version and the crimson version. So this one is the starting point. Now let's start the actual creation. Okay, so first of all, let's drag and drop our image to the canvas and let's get started. We're gonna use new cool tool. I'm gonna explain it later. Now the first step is that we're gonna need to extract the character in a pose. So how do I do that? It's quite simple. Again, we can use image edits. It's pretty common thing. Here is the prompt that I use. You can see it, and I prefer to use Nana Banana Pro usually. Alternatively, if you don't have like that complex image, you can find the node called Optimize Image for 3D, and that's pretty often a common thing to have. You can choose the pose and you can choose the like solid background. That's what we need to get started, like one clean reference. I'm gonna also create it with ChatGPT 2 and Nana Banana Pro just to compare. But in my case, my prompt also removes wings and weapon, and that's intentionally because we're gonna create them separately. Here is the accurate, clean starting point to start generation extracting parts. And here also you can see how ChatGPT and Nana Banana generated. Pretty okay. The A pose is different though. I think like I like this one more. It's more like what I expected to have. Now the next step is to basically start extracting parts. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna duplicate the nodes and I'm gonna press annotate. And this is like an amazing feature that I expect to have everywhere. I saw this in Gemini first, like even a year ago, but now it's like here, and you basically can edit image and add annotation right here and proceed with editing, right? So you basically can select the part and say like, okay, extract this part. You don't need to do a screenshot, like do some stuff. Like that was pretty annoying. I think that this is like super logical to have here. So it is here and it's amazing. And then we're gonna use the asset extractor, which is one of the coolest feature so far that I want to show you. And guys, I'm showing the whole process in a pro tool, but you also can do all of this for free using free tools such as Hunyan, Modif, and another. That obviously will take longer, but if you're only exploring, you can start there. There is a video on my channel where I explain all these free tools and stuff. You can take my workflow here and repeat with the free tools. The link to this workflow with all the prompts, with all of what I created, will be in the description. But of course, for best efficiency, I recommend to try this tool. Now, the asset extractor works very simple. We provide an image, we select the amount of parts we're gonna need to extract, and basically with the vertical divider, we can name the parts. I already prepared the prompt. Basically, I just list the prompts. You can always use ChatGPT to help out you with the prompting. I do that all the time. That's like a no-brainer. And again, like you don't need paid version of GPT or Claude to help you with that. While parts are creating, we're also gonna do additional image edits to our main reference, like the clean reference, and we're gonna create the body alone. but I'm gonna need to be quite specific what I expect in the body. That's why I don't use asset extractor. Most likely not gonna work because I need only that colored part. And here you can see I basically want to remove all the armor and also remove the head. Yeah, here's the prompt. Let's hit generate. Now we can see what assets we created. Not all assets are perfect, but some actually are very good. Yeah, for example, on the armor, I actually pretty happy with the shape, but I'm gonna do additional annotation, do the editing, and basically ask to remove selected parts, and we're gonna get the right version. Now back to the body, same thing here again. There's always some small detail, but it's very convenient and fast to address it like within this workflow, because I just gonna go annotate the neck area. So I just want it to be also the same color of the body. So it's like a costume, or this part will be changing colors. So I want it like one solid and the rest gonna go on top, right? That's my idea. Okay, so edit image, boom. Here we go. Also, very cool thing that you can create multi-view just in one click, right? Just simply select image to multi-view. If it's a character, you can choose the pose. If it's an object, you just choose the object. And then we can generate the multi-view. And another thing that we're gonna create in the same time is that we need the body color variations. As I mentioned, I do have like gold and crimson variations. So I'm gonna drag this one and create image variation. We're gonna need two of them. We're gonna create crimson and gold variation, as I said. So here are my prompts. I'm gonna choose the number of variation a bit more. I'm gonna go for 4 and let's hit generate. And by the way, here's the multi-view already generated. Works pretty nice. But again, like I'm not really a big fan of always creating multi-view. That's just unnecessary. Okie dokie, and here we have all my variations. Probably that was quite a simple task, right? I could actually do like 2 variations, but just to show you how it works. If it's something more complex, I usually go like for 4 variations at least to iterate faster. And we're gonna need to create a low poly 3D model with tripod P1. You can also choose the multi-view here if you want, but as I said again, like I don't really see a need always using multi-view. I'm gonna generate with P1. Let's set the right poly count. For the body, I think we can go around 8,000, and let's hit run. And here we go, it's already generated. We can review the model, and yeah, we can actually get started with texture. But I'm not gonna do that because I want to show you one really professional tip as we really do that for real customers. For example, we're gonna download the GLB and I'm gonna bring it to Blender and do the UV. And not only UV, but you can also address some fixes. For example, here's how this low poly looks. It is actually great, but there might be some problems like on the neck, on the knee, etc. And yeah, UV map generated with the AI is not yet there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just clean it up, do the mirror, do the UV, etc. and it will look quite good for me. If you're building a simple game for yourself, that's probably unnecessary. I know many 3D artists gonna kill me for this, but clean UV, it will add some optimization. It will make it easier to work together inside team. But again, if you're in the developer, this is definitely not #1 need, but if you want to make it professionally, why not? And this is relatively not the hardest skill to do some seams and unwrap that. And later when I have all the seams set, I'm gonna do the unwrapping, and also I do have like UV Pack Master installed to pack it like nicely. That's it. We're gonna export it back to FBX or GLB, and I'm gonna just drag and drop it back to the canvas so we can continue actually working with. And this is like absolutely coolest thing that I like about it. Now we can actually create texture generation nodes. Okay, let's connect all the nodes. Here we can choose like the texture resolution, the texture provider. There's like option to choose Mesh 6 or Tripo. I definitely agree with this selection. There is nothing better than I know. Who knew on texturing is definitely not the greatest. And while we're waiting for the generation, I also want to generate some noise texture that I'm gonna show you the cool way how we're gonna use it for the material, which will make this look as close to the reference as we can meet actually. So we're gonna create black and white noise, and I'm gonna create it with Nano Banana Pro and GPT Image 2, and we're gonna choose the best one. I really noticed that creating with Nano Banana simplify things. and GPT image always adds up details. Like they're biased, right? If you're working with something that needs more details, definitely GPT image 2. If you work with styled, simplified stuff, Nano Banana Pro is your choice. That's basically how I think about them. Both are great and both are needed. And here are our body already created. Let's review the results. I like the gold version. Quite cool. Here you can see the color texture, all the maps that it generated, and yeah, same for the red version and the original version as well. We're gonna only export textures here since we already have the 3D model ready. And here are the final set of textures that we got. And for the noise, yeah, basically exactly how I said, like Nano Banana, easier, simpler, and ChatGPT image, like more details, like twice more details basically. Even on the noise, you can see the difference. I think we're gonna go with the Nano Banana Pro in this case. Now let's go back to the parts. So I already finalized the amount of parts. Again, sometimes you need to regenerate it, or you're gonna need to do additional round of editing, like the annotation. That can be easier. In my case, I just need this 6 part. They cover whole armor basically. I'm super happy. Now here's the cool thing. I'm gonna select them all, like holding shift. I can select them all and go and create low poly for all of them in one click. Boom. So pretty convenient. But the only thing is that we're gonna need to go through each and choose the right amount of polygons, right? Definitely not 15,000. So like this is a smaller piece, gonna go 3,500, let it be 4K texture. And so first I'm gonna go through each object and set the right poly count and then run the node. And here we already start getting the results. We can review them in details. It's very convenient to review it here in wireframe mode. This part was generated not exactly how I need it. It's the wrong one. I'm gonna just hit the regenerate. I don't want it like that. And the rest part I'm pretty happy with. But this one, I think it's fine. I'm gonna just remove this stuff in Blender and then use it like it is. Okay, when all the models are created, we can add texture generation like this, same way. And then we're gonna run the texture generation. Again, it depends which texturing you're gonna choose. It can be Mesh 6 or Tripo. I mostly use Tripo, but in some cases, Mesh 6 can transfer colors or like it bakes light and stuff. It can be better in some cases. In most of the cases, in my opinion, Tripo gives more cleaner results. And here is the regenerated model, and it looks absolutely sick, right? Look, I'm gonna use it right away. Wow. Now, what's left? We're gonna need to create a weapon and the wing. And that's the coolest thing of the character, like big and nice. And my brother actually gonna help me with that because this platform actually supports multiplayer. I mean, you can work together, so on the same canvas. And I don't know, I was actually super excited. I just wanted to make video and include that because I think that's definitely the future. One canvas, several people's creating. It can be used for characters and environment assets. Absolutely cool. The name of the tool is Customuse, and I really recommend you to try it out. They recently rolled crazy updates, and I know they're building even more. You can access to best 3D AI models here, all the 3D AI features such retexture and retypology, and of course image and video editing. The feature that I use called Notes Editor, this is absolutely GOAT feature. There's also a Cinema Studio and basic features as an image, video, and generate 3D. And while I was talking, we already created the variations for wings and for weapon. Here you can see the result. That's pretty amazing. That is now possible. I was really envisioning this gonna happen, and I believe there will be more tools, and this is the first tool that did it exactly the way that is you can use it. And as mentioned in the video before, I can basically publish it and share the link with you guys, and so you can explore it, or you can reuse it and continue. In my workflow, you can see all the prompts, you can see all the 3D models I created, and I think this is absolutely amazing, and I expect this to be happening all across different platforms and tools. Again, to check my workflow, it's absolutely free. You can repeat it with free tools as well. The logic behind it is the same. It is about how smooth and fast the experience can be with tools like this. Now the biggest part is done, and let's bring it all to Blender and assemble our character and get it ready for the game. So the first thing I want to show you is the way we created different textures. It's sort of like how in games skins actually work. It's like one of the way. We do have one geometry and basically different set of textures. And here I'm gonna preview them all in Blender. Here are all textures. We're gonna preview on the color texture, right? And here I just swap the color texture and you can see it fits exactly. Well, that is basically expected. And we also have nice UV, etc. So this is pretty much a professional workflow. The same thing exactly with the wing, right? We can just have one wing, one mesh. We're gonna drop all the textures here and yeah, I'm just connecting different texture. You can see it, they all work very nice with this object. This is exactly how I want. We're gonna do the setup of the materials as well. And yeah, I generated like 3 PBR materials, so we can choose the best one. It's not necessary, of course, changing only albedo or like color texture, but it can also be a combination of metallic, roughness, and normal map because they also have information about the material. Same thing with the weapon. All right, now let's bring the rest of the parts as well. And what we're gonna need to do is to assemble that. This process is very simple if you know few basic tools that you might need in Blender. In sculpting mode, there are amazing brushes such as elastic grab. You can simply just drag the object, align with the body, etc. We're gonna give them right names, and for some symmetrical objects such as bracers or shoulder armor, we're gonna then mirror them, so we don't need to do it twice. Yeah, you basically later mirror them according to the body. And the whole process pretty much look like that. Also, additionally, in edit mode, sometimes you can cut the part that is covered from all sides. Some inside part, you can select it and remove that. That can add some extra optimization, but again, depends what you're building. And you can see that I'm basically not using anything but the simple tools to position objects around, to align them. If you're new to Blender, I do have another videos on my channel with explaining all the basics, but if you want to dig into this professionally, I have great news for you too, because I just recently launched my first 3D AI course where I cover 10% of 3D skills and introduce to you best AI tools to make it possible for you to achieve 90% of any idea that you have in mind. Particularly, we're focusing on 3D characters. I explain stuff about sculpting, editing, UV maps. It's quite simple if you focus on AI first approach, and in just a week you'll be able to create any character for your game. Alright, all process took me around 30 minutes of real time, and here is the result that we get. I think it's pretty solid. The material is not that great. It looks a little bit flat, but we're gonna address that in no time. And I almost forgot that we do have a wing and a weapon, so let's also bring them back. And I need to connect the wing, so it will be like this. The weapon is quite cool though. Here you can see all things together and they really make sense. And if you take a look on my reference, you can see heterogeneity in terms of reflections and stuff, and that actually adds up some unique look. How do we do that? We're gonna connect that noise texture to roughness and metallic, and here you can see that it's starting to look like that. I'm gonna go connect it everywhere. You can see I'm just plugging it to metallic and roughness, and this white color is starting to look way more interesting. And together with that little bit like rainbow shades, it really makes sense. Actually, I like it that much that I'm gonna try to apply it to the body as well. Nice. Great. So yeah, here you can see maybe it can be like a bigger pattern, but yeah, maybe I'm gonna adjust it a little bit later in Unreal Engine. And it also affects how the reflection works, because we connected like it to the roughness and metallic map, and roughness basically explains to render engine what area reflect light and what area are matte. And that is pretty much the final line. And one last thing I want to do is to create an emission mask for the helmet, and we're gonna set it up in Unreal Engine so this area change color and follow the skin change as well. So we're gonna just create a texture in Blender, and I'm gonna paint on top of this tray. Just simple like this. This one can be a little bit inaccurate because we're still gonna add emission and bloom on top. so it will not be really visible any small imperfections there. It will be hard to preview this emission effect in Blender, so we're gonna keep it later for Unreal Engine. Okay, now we have everything ready to start the rigging process. For the rigging base, we're gonna use AccuRig. This is pretty much well-known process. Again, I do have separate videos showing like some details around it. The process looked very simple. We go to AccuRig, upload the mesh, then we set the markers for the body. After the body, we set the markers for the hands. Spend a little bit time, follow the instruction, and you get quite accurate results. For the characters like this, the humanoid, pretty standard shape, it will be all good and you get quite great results. After that, you can export it for Unreal Engine 5. In my case, you can also export it for Unity or for Blender, depending on your needs. After that, you might want to review the weights and adjust them slightly with weight painting, etc. In my case, I'm gonna also need to rig the wing because I want to apply some physics to it. I do have a dedicated video about physics on my channel. Take a look if you want to bring more life to your character. Again, you can animate ears, tails, garments. Like cloth physics is also a cool thing to do. A weapon gonna be a rigid thing for now for the back, but again, of course, later we can put it into the hands, etc. That's pretty much the rigging stage. And now we are ready to move this to Unreal Engine finally. In Unreal Engine, we're gonna use third-person template. And first thing we're gonna need to do is to basically replace third-person character with our character. Then there will be some manipulations. That's not the main purpose of the video. I'm not gonna cover all the details. There's pretty simple process. If you want to know how I do that, check my other videos. Long story short, retarget animation, replace the character in the blueprint, and we're already working. Then we're gonna do the physics and setting up the materials. That will take a little bit because we're still gonna need to recreate some materials in Unreal Engine and connect all these noises and stuff, pretty much replicating what we did in Blender. When you have all the textures, it's not a big of a deal. I'm gonna also do some emission thing on the helmet and prepare some logic to swap the materials, because the material basically will be a skin. Material means bunch of textures and their settings, right? Because gold has more metallic, for example. Basic skin has less metallic. In some cases, you can definitely swap textures alone and that will be enough. In my case, it will be material swap. And of course, we did some environment together with my brother, like just created a scene that will fit the character to show you some cool, nice location and just to add a little bit more epic to it. So as you can see, also in Unreal Engine, we generate a bunch of assets. And then with some standard stuff in Unreal Engine, we compile some scene again. That is so easy and fun right now because you can iterate very, very quick. And now finally, here's the results. And I'm extremely happy about it. You guys, let me know in the comments how much you like it, what should I improve, or what I really want to know, what you're gonna create with this workflow. As always, that's Steph, always looking for best tools and workflow for you guys. Like and subscribe, and I see you in the next video.